Hey guys, we are back updating the power rankings for the Amazing Race 36 following episode 7. And this was a mostly standard episode. I feel like there wasn't too much going on outside of teens just getting lost left and right, which is pretty funny, but aside from that, what you would normally expect from the Amazing Race. But there are 7 teams to talk about, and as with similar time, let's get right into the video. So starting off at number 7, we have the boots from this week, and here we have Sunny and Busy. And this was largely to be expected considering they were at the back of the pack. They were last place coming into this leg, and they pretty much remained the back of the pack for most of it. Now, granted, they were second to last coming out of the roadblock, but they just fall right back down to last place by the end of it. And they pretty much had no chance of recovery. Now, yes, there was a battle between them and Juan and Shane, considering the amount of teams that got lost on the way to the pit stop. But aside from that, I feel like considering their content, I feel like it made sense for them to go out in a spot. But obviously they are now out of the race to where they're here at number 7. And with that, there are 6 teams left in the race to talk about. And as usual, I'll be ranking them based on how likely they are to win the race based on their edit and current race position. But at number 6, the team that I believe is the least likely to win from this point on is Yvonne and Melissa. And I think what it comes down to is the fact that they are kind of like the least remarkable team left, where I feel like on the show, they aren't getting that much content. And from the race perspective, they are in the back of the pack where they came into the leg and second to last, even falling to last place at the end of the roadblock. And they are able to recover. They are able to jump up to 5th place by the end of it. But realistically, I feel like they are kind of an unremarkable team. And I feel like other teams have been bigger presences on the show. That mixing in with the fact that they're just running out of runway is a big reason why they're here at number 6. Now moving on to number 5, and we have a team that I'm kind of conflicted on at this point, and really the next couple teams are relatively close. But at number 5, I did decide to go with Amber and Vinnie. And this episode wasn't a great look for them, considering they spent a lot of the episode arguing, kind of continuing off that storyline from a couple of episodes ago. And they do all right across the leg. They come into it in 4th place, even jumping up to 1st place by the end of the roadblock, but they do fall back behind to 4th place by the end of the leg. And I feel like considering the fact that they keep focusing on their arguing, it makes me a bit worried about how they're going to do moving forward. Then also with them not having as positive of a presence on the show, it is kind of conflicting, which is why I have them here at number 5. Now moving on to number 4, and this placement is more so due to how this team performed in the leg, but I could just as easily see them recovering. But number 4, I did decide to go with Juan and Shane, and they were second to last, technically speaking. Now granted, a lot of that came down to the actual race to the pit stop, where before that, they did come into the leg in 1st place, and they actually did all right on the roadblock. Now, mind you, they did drop to 4th place by the end of it, but they were still hanging around to that 4th place spot coming into the end of the leg. But due to them getting lost on the way to the pit stop and just it being a massive jumble, they do technically fall to second to last. And obviously, there was a storyline about how like they had food poisoning and how that was really holding them up. So obviously this was not a great leg for them, pretty bad on paper, going from 1st place to second to last. But I feel like they'll probably recover coming to the next leg. I feel like they're probably a team that I would be shocked if they're the next Boots, but I feel like with their performance on this particular leg, I do have them here at number 4. Now moving on to number 3, and this team has gone up from the last time that I talked about them. But number 3, we do have Rod and Leticia. And I feel like this was a solid leg for them where they came into it in 3rd place and they were able to come out of the leg in 3rd place, even jumping up to 2nd place at one point after the roadblock. Now, granted, they were also in 5th place coming out of the detour, but again, they were able to catch up on the way to the pit stop. But I also think they got decent content in this episode as well, where they talk about how like their storyline of like Leticia like not being on the same page with the Rod, that storyline is kind of like resolving, how they're talking about working together as a team more. And I feel like that's a pretty good sign edit-wise that they're probably going to do well moving forward. Then also their consistent performance across the race. I feel like that is a big reason why I am elevating them this week to number 3. Now moving on to number 2, and I did debate this placement a little bit, but I feel like this team got pretty good content in this episode, and that team is Angie and Danny. And I feel like this was a pretty good leg for them, where they got content early on about how they're not working with the Alliance anymore, how they're planning to run their own race. And I feel like that largely pays off, where they jump from 5th place coming into the leg to 2nd place by the end of it. And I feel like that performance is pretty good, not to mention their content is also pretty solid as well. And I feel like they're a team that could end up surprising some people down the road, but I feel like they're still a pretty solid number 1 team, which is a big reason why I still have them here at number 2. And now, at number 1, the team that I believe is the most likely to win the Amazing Race, 36 at this point, is still Ricky and Cesar. And I feel like this leg was another pretty strong display for them, where they were able to win another leg, their 4th win across the season. Now, granted, they did fall to 3rd place at the end of the roadblock, but they were very able to recover and they were able to eventually come out in 1st place. And it is crazy now how through 7 legs, they've gotten nothing but 1st and 2nd place finishes. I feel like this is a very consistent team, and I feel like if they go on to win the race after this point, I feel like they'll be very high on my winner ranking. But I feel like with their consistent performance, as well as pretty positive content on the show, I feel like I still have to put them here at number 1. And there we go, that'll do it for this week's video. If you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe, really help out with the channel. And I'll be back again next week to update the power rankings again, so you can look forward to that. I'm covering other shows right now, including Survivor 46, Big Brother Canada 12, and The Circle Season 6, so you can expect weekly power rankings of those shows. I'm on Patreon, so if you want to consider supporting the channel, you can do so by clicking the link in the description, and you can also join the Discord server by also clicking the link in the description. There's a lot of stuff coming your way, but for now, that is the video. See ya.